Hi, everyone, and welcome to TEP Town Hall, episode 4. It's Tuesday, last Tuesday of the month, which means it's our TEP Town Hall slot. And today we're going to be talking all about fundraising, ways that you can fundraise through the Expedition Project, the things that the Expedition Project is doing to fundraise for projects that we care about and hopefully that you care about too. And it's very pertinent that this TEP Town Hall topic for today is on fundraising because it is Giving Tuesday. And Giving Tuesday is an internationally recognized day where it is encouraged to give whatever you can, no matter how big or how small, to a charity that you really care about. So what I will say before we get into a bit of an overview on fundraising in general is go to the donate section of the Expedition Project website, have a look through all the organizations that we're fundraising for, and see if there is something that you can give. As I said, no matter how small, it really does make a big difference. But also the way that the Expedition Project is designed, it means that there's lots of other ways around the website that you can donate automatically. And this is by participating in courses. This is by signing up to some of our live events and conferences, checking out some of the individual campaigns, going to our eco shop and buying some of our eco products, our clothing and accessories. All of them have automatic donations that go to the causes that we care about and causes that we're trying to introduce you to as well. So if you're able to, I know times are tough for everyone right now, but if you're able to donate, then there's plenty of ways on the Expedition Project to get involved. And remember, even if you don't go to a specific donation section of the website, the Expedition Project is fundraising in general for all these organizations through all the different aspects of what we do. So have a look around, see what suits you today, and please be as generous as you can. It really does mean a lot. So without further ado, let's dive into all about fundraising. So let's talk about fundraising, and particularly how the Expedition Project can help with fundraising needs for a whole range of different projects that we work with. So in the blog section of the Expedition Project website, there is an article that we've written about some of the basics, just to understand some of the background of different kinds of organizations and how fundraising in essence works across the board generally, not just obviously through the Expedition Project. So to start off, it's important to understand the different types of organizations. Obviously, first of all, there's businesses or for-profit organizations, which is pretty obvious. Their primary goal is to turn a profit. You've then got social enterprises, also known as B Corps in the US. And these are, in essence, a middle ground between a business and a charity. So a lot of charities or not-for-profits are moving towards the direction of social enterprises or B Corps these days. And one of the reasons is it does enable just a tad more sustainability and enables organizations to be a little bit more in control of how they raise funds and where those funds go. This doesn't mean that they're less ethical or anything like that. They're just taking a bit more of a business approach to it. And then obviously there's charities or not-for-profits which have been around for hundreds of years and are in essence there to provide society with a service, and all the money generated goes back into the organization and the services and the beneficiaries that they support. No money gets split out into shareholders or anything like that. So then if we just move along the difference between sort of cash flow, overheads and project costs, and this is important to understand, especially for charities and social enterprises, because there is an ongoing a misunderstanding about how money should be spent by charities, where that money should go, and education around this is very important. As you can imagine, charities still need to run a certain amount of overheads. They still need to keep the lights on, still keep electricities running, have phones available and stuff like that, which generally speaking are classed as overheads. And a lot of fundraising is not dedicated to cover those kind of things. So often charities struggle to pay their overhead bills. So any charity or any business obviously needs to have a certain amount of cash flow running. And in the case of charities, that's a regular amount of fundraising, or at least enough fundraising coming in a certain time of year that can be then split throughout the rest of the year. All can be defined by that charity as to where that fundraising is going, and hopefully transparently and clearly defined how and when that is going to be spent. So no matter how small an operation they are, there still needs to be a certain amount of cash injection throughout the year, or at least at a certain time of year, to be spread out. Now, overheads versus project costs. Basically, the difference is, as I've described, you've got overheads, which could be things that are deemed as ongoing monthly outgoings, like rents, like electricity, like phone bills, like salaries and stuff like that. Project costs are then ones that go directly into a certain project at a certain time of year, or throughout the year in different areas. And this could be, in essence, a little bit more variable than overheads. But a lot of the discussion these days is to try see as a lot of charity overheads as project costs, because obviously projects would not be able to run without them. And funders, in essence, don't want to be seen as funding someone's salary or paying someone electricity. They want to be seen as funding a particular project, the particular core focus of what that charity is. But without those overheads, often those projects can't be run. So it is a bit of a difficult area, but it is important to understand that these charities need to be able to cover their overheads anyway. So the next section, just to understand the different types of fundraising, we're going to look at donating directly to organizations. We're looking at collaborative fundraising. We're looking at third-party sites, and then the difference between restricted and unrestricted funding. So donating direct to an organization, pretty obvious as it is. This organization would define where they want that money to go, and this could be directly into their bank account or to their deemed fundraising platform that is getting the most of the, or if not all of the money to that charity. Collaborating fundraising is when a charity or an organization works with an organization like the Expedition Project, and together they come up with ways in which to fundraise, innovative fundraising campaigns, and obviously help with some of the admin and some of the sourcing of those donors and donations as much as possible. These are generally organizations that understand that charity, that organization very well, and can then feed the information in both ways to the charity and back to the donors or the funders in a better way than a maybe general third-party site or third-party organization might. So leading into third-party sites, this could be more general things like Just Giving, like Give and Gain, who are basically just providing the infrastructure in order to gather that fundraising. They'll have no direct influence or contact with those organizations. They're literally just handling that admin, that infrastructure for them. And then finally, the difference between restricted and unrestricted. This is very important to know. So often when you donate via third-party sites or something like that, it might be for a particular project or could be for the charity in general. And in that sense, that funding is unrestricted, which means that it's up to the charity to decide where they're going to spend that money. And sometimes the charities themselves, or through collaborative fundraising or through these third-party sites, they'll be fundraising for a particular project. So a little short-term amount of fundraising where they need some money. And that will be more sort of restricted funding, which means that it's designated to a specific task, a specific goal, a specific project. Now, important to note with this that charities do struggle so much as it is with funding things like overheads and salaries. The more that you can allow your funding to be unrestricted, so allow the charity to decide where and how they want to spend that, the better. And the reason that this is important is it's good for you to find a charity that you trust, that you understand, that you believe in their principles and their ethos, and then just let them get on with it. That's the win-win sort of situation, ideal situation. Now, this is where collaborative fundraising through, for example, the Expedition Project can come really handy, where an organization like the Expedition Project has sourced out the right kind of organizations to fundraise for, and all the money that the Expedition Project then funnels through to these organizations, we want that to be unrestricted funding so that the charity can decide, the charity and this project organization can decide how and when they want to spend that. Right, so then finally in this little section, setting up your fundraiser. So the first thing you want to do is decide on how you're going to do this. Is it going to be through one of the third-party sites? Is it going to be through a collaborative fundraising like the Expedition Project? Is it going to be direct to that that organization? You want to then choose the project or projects that you want the fundraising to go for. For example, is it going to go to one particular project within the charity? Is it going to go to the charity in general? Is it going to a number of different projects within that charity, and so on and so on? And then from there, if you are choosing a number of different projects, are you going to split that donation? Is it going to be equal split? Do you want more to go to one section than the other? It all could be within one charity, or it could be a number of different charities. And this is something, for example, which the Expedition Project helps with. So you can fundraise for a lot of different organizations in one go. And then, as mentioned, you then choose, do you want that to be restricted or unrestricted? So the preference is obviously always unrestricted, but if it is a specific project that you really want to fundraise for, like a rhino dehorning or dog kennels or something like that, then that might be more sort of the restricted element. And then choose if you like your fundraising released in stages or in all in one go. So you might have a bigger goal for your fundraising, a larger amount that you're trying to fundraise for. And in that case, you might want to release that money in tranches and in various stages so that the charity can make use of it as they go. Or you might want to wait until a full larger amount is fundraised for, and then you release that all in one go. And this could be because you're building up to running a marathon or doing some kind of event where you're pushing your fundraising and you want to wait until you've got a large amount and then release that. So the reason that the Expedition Project is a collaborative fundraiser and handles these donations instead of recommending to go to a third-party site, for example, is we want to manage the funds in all of the ways that are mentioned just above there. And we want to work with these charities and these organizations, unlike, as I mentioned, the third-party sites do, so we can have a bit more of a personal relationship. Then very important, we want to communicate with everyone involved, with the funders, with the organizations getting the funding, keeping them updated, keeping the funders updated of some of the changes in the projects and how that's developing. And this has all been built up since the Expedition Project started visiting all the projects we did in 2012 and keep doing so we can keep updated with how these projects are doing, what they're doing well, what are some of their challenges, and so on and so on. And we can connect the fundraisers with our extended network and amplify that as much as possible so that different projects can get different support and different funders can get different donors supporting their causes as well, and try and just amplify that as much as possible. And then finally, we want to limit any sort of donation fees or card fees, international transfers and stuff like that, because Expedition Project is an international organization that's based in South Africa and the UK. The idea is obviously to limit those fees as much as possible. So we're getting regular amounts of money sent to these charities through the collaborative working relationship that we have with them. So the reasons of using TEP instead of donating directly then, for example, is for all of those reasons mentioned above. Obviously, nothing wrong with donating direct to organizations if that's what you want to do. Rather do that than don't do it at all, of course. But it allows us to support and work with these projects more. So the more support TEP gets, the more support that we can do for a whole number of projects and specific projects. And it also limits the workload for these projects, limits any sort of admin from them, where it can end up being win-win. And the projects aren't going to receive less money than generally speaking donated directly anyway, because of the way TEP is set up. And there's going to be fees for any kind of donation that's made on any site. So you may as well just have the least amount which TEP can offer. So that's a sort of a general sort of summary on fundraising through the Expedition Project and some of the backgrounds of what fundraising is all about and the different types of doing that. The next thing I want to move on to is some of the automatic ways that are already set up in the Expedition Project to generate funds. So we've got membership plans set up in the Expedition Project website to give you access to different opportunities and different stuff that we connecting with these charities and organizations. Now, the reason we've set up membership plans is so that it becomes a bit of a two-way street. There's you getting something for your money rather than just us asking for donations. So what we're able to do within all of the online opportunities and the in-person opportunities and these memberships is allocate a percentage of that to go to some of the main organizations that we're supporting and the opportunities that you're learning from within these membership plans. So in essence, it's like setting up a recurring donation plan with charities that a lot of people do, but instead of this membership plan, you're getting something back for it. You're getting learning materials, you're getting other opportunities, and that, so on and so on. So the membership plans is one way that you can connect with these organizations, that you can set up sort of recurring donations, and so on and so on. So then, obviously, leading to the courses, the next way to donate to these organizations automatically without setting up campaigns or anything is through our designated online learning and online courses. So all of these courses that we offer and all these different modules are linked to specific organizations. And what this does is we've got an allocation of every time someone buys a module or buys a course, that allocation of money that can then go to these different organizations. So it's a way for them to sort of earn a little bit of money every now and again, for us to develop more resources, and so on and so on. Then we move on to the areas of the website which is specifically fundraising driven. And these are things like conferences, live events, and individual campaigns. So first of all, conferences, which are our main focus each year when we try and draw attention to certain organizations and tell a little bit about them and try and explain some of the things that they do and some of the areas that they're trying to fund. This is an example of a setup where 100% of the money raised for these conferences goes direct to these organizations, split up amongst all the organizations that participate in these conferences. And that the difference between that and the courses is courses might be split between the Expedition Project and the participating organizations so that the Expedition Project can develop more. These conferences are purely a fundraising method for these organizations. So every time you buy a ticket, you're not only getting access to all this information and these speakers and stuff like that, but 100% of your ticket sales then goes through to those organizations. So it's a great way to sort of donate and get something back as well. And then we've got things like live events. So these could be special events which are focusing on a particular topic, a particular species. And in this case, we've done a couple on wildlife, in particular elephant translocation and lion surgery. So this is a more specific funneled area where it's a specific project or a specific organization that we might be fundraising for, and we're trying to give you something back in return. So you can go and check out the live events. And then finally, the individual fundraising campaigns. This is something that's obviously more tailor-made to individual people trying to fundraise some money. So these are all about when students have been on a placement or a volunteering trip or something like that, and they want to set up a fundraising campaign for a particular project. They can do that via the Expedition Project. And as mentioned before, we can manage all the admin and all the transfers and the details around that. And this, once again, 100% of this will go to the organizations. So it's just a nice, direct, and easy way to do it, and we can manage this much like you might expect on other third-party sites. But the difference, remember, is that we're doing collaborative fundraising, so we're in contact with these organizations much more than the third-party sites. And then finally, wanted to speak a little bit about some specific courses which we've also got, which is called Community Development and Conservation in Action. Now, these are specific courses which are also 100% fundraising courses, and these are, generally speaking, introductions into specific organizations. Just a little bit of an introduction, what they do, some interesting videos, some interviews, some resources and stuff like that. But this is more along the lines of adding on from the conference, which was sort of 100% fundraising driven. This is also 100% going to the organizations. So these are just introductions, just sort of sneak peeks into some of these organizations that we work with, what they do, how they do it. And once again, by buying this, that's also a donation directly to these organizations. So there's plenty of ways of getting involved in through the Expedition Project site and how you can donate. And then obviously we've also got all the organizations listed on our donate page, which will give you give you a way to donate directly to them. If you don't want to get involved in setting up a campaign or do it via a course or conference, you just want to find out how you can donate directly to these organizations, then you can go onto our donate page, and we've got all those donation options available there. And then definitely finally this time are our eco products. So this is a fun new way where we've designed some accessories and clothing and some online products that can be delivered internationally that are for specific projects or for specific species and so on and so on. So, for example, if it is related to a species like this one, like it's related to an elephant, that'll be designated to a particular project that works with that particular species. So if you open up that product page and you scroll down, it'll tell you where this is going. So in this case, it's going to Provet Animal Hospital. So it gives you a nice little present that you can buy for yourself or for a friend, and automatically a donation is set up once we've covered the costs of that producing that item for you. They're all eco shop items, so biodegradable or recycled, and all along that vein, and lots of nice things to choose from along the accessories line and also clothing line. So that's about it for fundraising side of things. If you do have any questions, then do get in touch. If there's any ways, sort of advice that you want on fundraising or any other areas you want to explore, then get in touch. But I hope that that sort of helped give you a bit of an insight generally into fundraising and also fundraising through the Expedition Project. So hopefully that's given you a bit of an overview of fundraising and how the Expedition Project can help with the fundraising that we do and what you might want to do as well. So just once again, a reminder that it is Giving Tuesday today. So please head to the donate section of our website and check out all the projects that we're fundraising for. See if you can help in any way. But also a reminder that just by participating in the courses or signing up for a membership, checking out other conferences or live events, anything like that, they all contribute in a certain way. So do try and help out as much as you can. That would really be appreciated. And then finally, so this is the last TEP Town Hall of 2022. So we'll be back at the end of January. So in the meantime, post any questions, any comments, any feedback, anything you want to hear from us about, or any topics you want us to cover, and we'll aim to get back to you and try and add that to the list of the things that we want to update you on. So have a fantastic December period, fantastic holiday season, and we will see you in the new year. Take care, everyone.